Wondering how to replace a wheat flour with almond flour in baking? Well, at the end of this video, you will know the exact steps and conversions of replacing wheat flour with almond flour, giving you a great keto low-carb lifestyle. Coming up. Hey gang, I'm Shelly. I'm a dietitian specializing in keto, low carb, and anti-inflammatory lifestyle, clinic owner, penny pincher, busy mom of two, and I'm crazy passionate about helping women lose weight, decrease blood sugars, balance their hormones, eliminate migraines and pain one bite at a time. As a chronic migraine sufferer myself and someone who could not lose the baby weight, I discovered the lifestyle of keto, low carb, and anti-inflammatory, and I never looked back, and I want to change your life. Welcome to our channel, the KLA Kitchen, where we bring you great recipes, product reviews, and tips that will keep your family happy and healthy while not busting your pocketbook, time, or waistline. And if that's something you're interested in, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Now, is cakes, candies, and cookies completely eliminated on keto and low carb plans? Absolutely not. Enter my favorite flour to bake with, that is almond flour. And in my clinic, I typically spend a full hour educating folks on how we can do recipe modifications with almond flour so that we can still get those ooey gooey desserts that we love. Almond flour is made with ground almonds. The process involves blanching almonds in boiling water. This removes the skins, grinding, and then sifting into a fine powder. Almond flour is a super popular alternative to wheat flour. A fourth of a cup of almond flour is approximately 5 grams of carbs, 3 grams of fiber, thus yielding 2 net carbs, while a half a cup of our wheat flour, remember it was taught as the greatest thing since sliced bread back in the 90s, can yield approximately 24 grams of carbs and only 3 grams of fiber.
No! God, please, no!
And studies show that almond flour has even more health benefits than wheat flour. And this includes reducing our bad cholesterol and improving insulin resistance. I always choose almond flour as the first flour that I replace with wheat flour because we can start with the basics. And the basic is per 1 cup of wheat flour, we can use 1 cup of almond flour. It can be also used in place of breadcrumbs to coat our chicken, fish, even if we're doing a vegetable, maybe like our fried mushrooms. Now, the downside of just following the 1-to-1 ratio is that almond flour is very dense and it can cause our product to become flat and maybe not be so attractive. We then move into our advanced recipe modifications. So almond flour tends to carry more moisture, and while the 1-to-1 ratio is fantastic, we may have to find ourselves adding a little bit more, maybe a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons per cup of almond flour we use. Some folks even add more gluten-free items such as a tablespoon of chia seeds or flax meal to our product. And again, only do these additions as you start to feel comfortable baking your products. Always start with 1-to-1, and then as you feel comfortable, you can add a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of your almond flour to that product. Some things we want to remember when we're using almond flour is that we don't want to pat the almond flour in our measuring cup. We just want to scoop it with our spoon. Now, almond flour tends to brown more than regular flour does. So if you are baking cookies or bread in your oven, you want to cover your product loosely with aluminum foil. And then gang, we have to remember that almond flour is gluten-free, which we love, but remember, gluten holds products together. So we may come out with a product or a bread that's a little crumbly or that may not look so good. So we can do something very simple, and that is to add xanthan gum to our product. Now, don't be alarmed by that name. Xanthan gum is the bacteria that comes from cabbage. No, that sounds bizarre, but it is our thickening agent. What you can do is per cup of almond flour, you can add a half a teaspoon of your xanthan gum to it. Now, if you don't have xanthan gum, and maybe during research, you will find that folks will add 1 egg white per cup of almond flour to their recipe. Now, folks always ask me, what do I use as that binding agent? And really the answer is quite simple. Whatever I have in my kitchen. Now, do you have to use this binding agent? Absolutely not. You can make your product as is. It might be a little bit more crumbly, but if I was making something, say for Christmas, for Thanksgiving, or bringing to a local church event, probably would add the xanthan gum or the extra egg white because people love to talk. Now, if you're concerned that your dough is not stiff enough, you would want to add a little bit of chia and flaxseed. Now, warning gang, you want to start off small. A teaspoon can definitely go a long way. So almond flour contains more moisture. So what's great about that is the product's not going to dry out very fast. But we have to remember that products made with almond flour can mold much easier. So we want to store it in a good container and put it in our refrigerator so that we don't get that mold. And really, friends, to summarize how I teach things in my clinic, start off with the basics. Start off with your 1-to-1 ratio. So if your recipe calls for a cup of flour, use a cup of almond flour. See how it turns out. I promise it's going to taste good. Now, if you feel like it might be a little flat, this is where you can add an extra tablespoon of almond flour, then another extra tablespoon. This is maybe where you might want to add a little chia, a little xanthan gum, or an extra egg white to hold everything together. But I promise, starting with the basics, your recipe is going to taste amazing. Just may look a little off. When we add and we play with it a little bit, I promise things are gonna be great. Bring almond flour into your life. Now, I do understand we do have folks with allergies, and unfortunately some of my AIP folks will not be able to use almond flour. This is a series, gang, that I'm starting on how we can cook with different flours. Now, my question of the day for you is, what other tips do you have with cooking with almond flour? And gang, for more recipes to be delivered to your inbox, be sure to scroll in our description box, sign up for our email, go ahead and download our keto and anti-inflammatory menu to be sent to your inbox. And my name is Shelly, gang. I wish you all a beautiful day.